You got me? Check 1, check 2, 2, 2, 1. Here we go, live. Yeah. If you're already watching, guys, we'll be starting in about 5 minutes' time.
Why can't you hear? 2 1 2 1 2 1 1 2. That's why. 1 2 1 2. The pad button had got knocked in. It was killing 26 dB off the top of me. Okay,
Welcome this afternoon to Canberra Cavalry Baseball. A rescheduled Game 3 after the rain out last night. So Game 1 today will be 7 innings. Game 2, which starts at 4 o'clock, will be 9 innings. Good afternoon, Chris Coleman.
Good afternoon, Warwick Petherbridge. Great to be here on a day that is looking far better than yesterday was looking for baseball. We're about to have the anthems. Once we have had the anthem, we will get into the lineups for this afternoon. If you did sneak a peek last night, the lineups for both sides today, as they were for yesterday's game, which was, of course, unfortunately rained out. But we take you down to the field now for today's Australian national anthem. harmony for the national anthem. Warwick Petherbridge, it always makes the hairs stand up on the back of your neck, the anthem, because you know it's baseball time.
We're minutes away from first pitch, Chris. We'll quickly go through the lineups and see as Canberra takes the field. Frank Gailey, he gets the start. Well, pretty much the lineups as it was last night.
Indeed.
Gailey to Robbie Perkins, Boss Moen Aroa at first, Craig Massey at second, Michael Francoso is the shortstop. Those two have been working well together since they became a combination a couple of weeks ago. Cam Warner, he's the man at third. Kyle Perkins gets the start in left field today. The new addition, previous Cavalry player / new addition, Michael Krause, he's the man in the middle at centre field. And David Candless, he's out in right field for game one, Chris. Sydney Blue Sox lineup.
Sydney Blue Sox in batting order will be Trent Antonio as the designated hitter to lead off, to be followed by first baseman Jacob Eunice. Dwayne Kemp in the 3-hole, Gifton Gope at 4, Jack Murphy bats 5, Zach Shepherd, Alex Howe, Hao Wei Shen playing in centre field and batting 8 today, and Michael Campbell will be in right field this afternoon. A really important game, a big game for Sydney. They need a win after a couple of losses to get themselves closer to that number 1 seed, the very important number 1 seed in the ABL playoffs. Canberra, well, a win here keeps them potentially in line to get out of that second wildcard spot up to potentially even as high as the second seeding or the third seeding. And, well, first seed is not out of the way if they can pick up both games in the doubleheader today. Exciting stuff. Gailey comes in. He's had a season so far, this left-handed pitcher. 3-1 his win-loss, 2.91 ERA, 43.1 innings pitched for 45 strikeouts. He's pitching to Trent D'Antonio.
High and inside for ball 1 to Gailey. We'll just quickly, Riley Barrington, he's the home plate umpire today. Ben Nash, he's at first. Matt Pearson, he's our third base umpire. 1-0.
D'Antonio brings in a 280 average, 26 hits for the season.
That's right there for a called strike 1 from Gailey. Checks. Gets the call up to third base umpire Matt Pearson. He said yes, he did go 1 and 2.
Always too difficult for players when they've sat around in a ballpark for a while in a rain delay waiting to see whether there's going to be a game, and they're happy to front up the next day having not played. That's
foul along the first base side. Stays alive at 1 and 2.
D'Antonio for the weekend having a fairly decent run of things, although he'll be hoping for a change in luck. He's been hit by pitches 3 times so far this weekend, including leading off in game 1 and in game 2. So if it's high and inside, watch him duck here from Frank Gailey on the 1-2 pitch.
Fouls that right down the third base line, straight towards Sarge's Saloon. Beautiful day in Canberra, lots of cloud cover after the torrential downpour that we had last night.
30-plus degree days for 11 days in a row, up to yesterday, and including yesterday, which I believe is a record for Canberra.
1 and 2. High and just inside. Ball 2. Nice and comfortable. 22 degrees outside. Feels like 20. It's lovely. They don't say there's a 0 chance of rain with a maximum of 26 today. Perfect baseball weather. 2 and 2. Gailey delivers. D'Antonio swings through and misses for the first out of the day.
For Frank Gailey, well, it's just like shelling peas. As I mentioned at the start, 43.1 innings pitched prior to today, 45 strikeouts. And he's doing quite nicely in this second Australian Baseball League campaign for Frank Gailey. Jacob Eunice now averaged 314. And the right-handed batter comes in. And again, I keep talking about this, but one of the rising stars of Australian baseball, still only in his early 20s, but a veteran of this league.
It's high and outside for ball 1. The one thing you've got to say, Chris, about Jacob Eunice is his ability to adapt. Long-time shortstop at the Blue Sox. And with Gift and Gope coming in this year, has made the transition to wherever's needed. Today it's first base. Right on the outside edge for a called strike 1.
Well, prior to this season, he'd never started at first base. Had never played first base prior to this season in the ABL, and has done quite nicely. Fielding average well up in the 900s, the high 900s, which is what you want.
Swings through, and that has That's hit Robbie Perkins right where you do not want to get hit.
Yeah.
And he is down on his haunches. Eunice just checking to make sure that he's okay. And he is in...
He's in quite some pain there.
Yes, he is. Keith Ward is coming out to check. And rivalry aside, this is what's great about our game, Chris. Not only is Keith Ward there, but Jacob Eunice right there. Dwayne Kemp, the next batter, he's standing holding Robbie Perkins' mask.
Well, I think every person who's ever played baseball and been hit by a ball in a tender part of the anatomy will know that it doesn't tickle. Let's just hope that this is just a bit of bruising for Robbie, but gee, he really doesn't look comfortable at all.
Same time, probably just trying to get his wind back. He's shaking off the water and he's on his feet. So I'd say it's just probably knocked the wind out of him as well.
He's doing better than Mike Tyson did against Buster Douglas all those years ago. Because they could, if you can't take, you don't want to take a player out of the game in the top of the first, but they do have the flexibility, if necessary, they could shuffle Robbie out to left field and bring Kyle Perkins, who's a good catcher, in from left field as well. So that's a change to keep an eye out for. It might be a case of if Robbie does need to just have a little bit of a break, there might be a change in later innings.
We'll just keep an eye on it.
So we'll keep an eye out for that. But Robbie's back behind the dish, and with the 1-2 count showing on Jacob Eunice, play will resume with no score.
Here we go. Gailey comes set. Off the end of the bat towards first base. Monoroa picks it up and steps on the bag for the second out. So after all of that, a quick put out by Boss at first base. Waves off Gailey, who was coming for the cover. Brings up second baseman Dwayne Kemp, and we got to see him before the game, Chris, in the batting cage, and he was very pleased with how he was hitting them.
Oh yeah, he was hitting them like bullets. And if I was Michael Francoso at shortstop, I'd be taking about 3 steps to the left if I'd seen how Kemp was hitting in the batting cage, because he was putting them like a bullet just to the left of where shortstop is.
Outstanding breaking pitch from Gailey.
Changes the equation a little bit. This game now being a 7-inning affair instead of 9, it really does become a sprint, and runs early much more valuable.
Outside for that one. 1-1. And it wasn't like those balls were coming into Kemp at half. Were lollipops. He was whacking them. That's high. Ball 2. But just the reaction, Chris, that we saw as he was hitting them.
I don't think he'd hit many early in his BP in the batting tunnels, because when he finally got hold of them, there was 3 or 4 that he hit really, really hard, and he turned around, yeah, finally! He really did get excited about it. It's great to see the passion. 2-1 the count.
A little ding, just popped it straight up. Francoso takes 2 steps back, takes the easy catch, and that retires the side here in the top half of the first at MIT Ballpark. No score for the Blue Sox. And now we'll see just shortly what this Cavalry offense can do.
Well, let's have a look at the Cavalry offense. It'll be Francoso to lead off. Comes in with an average of a lazy 460. Now, that's kind of handy. To be followed by Cam Warner, Craig Massey, Zach Wilson is DHing today. Then it's David Candelas at 5. Krause, Michael Krause, only 2 games into his return to the ABL with an average of 556. Boss Moenroa at 7, Robbie Perkins 8, and Carl Perkins 9. Robbie Perkins probably very thankful right now that he's batting well down the order.
Give some time for the trainers to evaluate him. I think he'd be very happy that it was only about 3 or 4 pitches until he got out. We'll go around the field for the Blue Sox. Craig Anderson, we'll talk about him in a moment. He made a very big announcement last week. To Jack Murphy, Jacob Eunice, as we alluded to, he's playing first. Dwayne Kemp, the second baseman. Gift Ngope, he plays short. Zach Shepard at third. Alex Howe, the left fielder. Hao Wei Shen is the centre fielder. And Michael Campbell in right field for the Blue Sox. And they have a big arrival that we'll talk about later as well, Chris Coleman. He arrived yesterday. Will most likely take part in game 2, and we watched him hit as well. And
it's not every day you get to see a guy with 100+ MLB games standing in a batting shed here in Australian Baseball League warm-up action, and yeah, hitting them big, and a big man, and more to come on that a wee bit later on this afternoon. Of course, 2 games. It's just past 1 o'clock local time here, 10 past 1 local time here. The second game due to start at 4 o'clock. And as you mentioned, was a 7-inning game to start with, a 9-inning game in the second part of this afternoon's baseball double dip.
As he walks up, Michael Francoso, as you said, 460 has the highest sustained average in the league, but Chris, just short of the league requirements for the batting title at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, I haven't quite done all the numbers, but I believe it works out at, well, he's going to have 2.7 plate appearances per team game, and because he missed the first 2 weeks of the season, I think he's about 3 plate appearances short of where he needs to be. So I think 5 plate appearances today, or maybe 6 today, will get him into that list, and you'll see him suddenly catapult to the top of the batting averages.
Swings through the second pitch for a called strike. The count is 1-1. Francoso, unbelievable, not only with his hitting, but smart approach in the box, gets deep into counts. He lines that towards Kemp at second. Throws it over to Eunice for the first out. Makes a liar out of me there. But as well, before that at bat, OBP of 545?
545.
So over 1 in 2. Not a bad pickup.
Means that next time he'll probably get on if the averages and the numbers do continue. Cam Warner comes in. Warner with 23 hits for the season, average of 232.
Called strike 1. Warner has been a lot more proactive at the plate since his promotion up the order. Lovely breaking pitch by Anderson. Beautiful curveball for strike 2. Warner promoted up the order a few weeks ago. It's in the dirt for ball 1.
Looking ahead to game 2 of this series, Don McMichael from the Cavalry, the CEO, will be joining us, and we'll be able to have a bit of a chat with him about putting together this Cavalry roster.
Foul along the third base side. Count stays at 1 and 2.
Because there have been some particular challenges this year with the partnership with Yokohama and the availability of the Japanese players as well to work in.
Throws that down and low, and Warner chases for a swinging strike 3. Anderson collects his first K. Craig Massey, Chris, he's probably, you talk about Francoso and his hitting average and Wilson and his home runs. Massey's probably the forgotten man in this trio. He's putting together a great season as well.
I don't think he'll mind that too much.
There's that curveball again.
When you've got players like Francoso and Wilson, and now with the return of Krause as well, all hitting massive numbers.
Along the ground, straight to Kemp, the second baseman. He bobbles it in the dirt, throws over. Eunice makes a great play to pick it up. Retires the side in order. And after 1 inning here at MIT Ballpark, Canberra 0, Sydney 0.
Always nice to be able to go a little bit under the radar if Massey has done so. And so, especially as I was going to say, with focus on guys with big batting averages like Francoso and Wilson and Krause. For Massey, he's still sitting there, just a tick under 300, 296 coming into the game today. A real chance for him to potentially not have as much notice paid to him and just go about his business and just keep on gathering those hits. So we've got 1 in the books. It'll be a quick game this afternoon. We should say a big thank you to our friends at Rolf Subaru. Great to have them on board once again for their contribution to help us with our coverage here at the MIT Ballpark games for the Canberra Cavalry. And of course our friends at Fielder's Choice as well. Nice to have them on board for season 2018-19.
Robbie Perkins back out there. Still moving a little gingerly.
Well, that's understandable. Frank Gailey he's a real bulldog. He just gets in and really has a go. Perkins with the warm-up throw over to second. So with both sides going 1-2-3 in the first inning, we'll go 4-5-6. And I've really enjoyed watching this man in the flesh this series. Gifton Gopay, South African, played for Pittsburgh during the course of the Major League Baseball season. And we see him coming in, and again, talk about good average. 372, more than handy, and he's been on base every game he's played this season.
Ball one outside. Was also part of the Toronto Blue Jays organisation, I believe.
As with a number of players, of course, moving around from club to club.
Called strike one. And Gopay with the nod of the head. He's like, yep, that was a good one.
One and one the count.
Gailey. Bit low on that one, 2-1. Low. They tried to check the call. First base umpire Ben Nash says no. He did not go around. 3-1. Gailey set. Fouls that one off. Full count.
So the first full count we've seen for the afternoon.
Gailey fires right along the outside, and then Gopay tries to swing through. Strikeout number 2 today for Frank Gailey. That's the first out here in the top of the second. Great comeback pitching, being 3-1 down in the count. High and then outside. Got him to foul the high one off. Put it right along that outside edge. Brings in the catcher, Jack Murphy. That's low. Ball one. Murphy only batting 165 for the season, Chris.
His numbers have been steadily climbing, though.
Swings through that one mightily. Gailey puts it on the outside.
Murphy started the season with just 2 hits from his first 50 at-bats. But he hadn't played baseball. I don't think he'd played in about 12 or 14 months prior to this season starting. He'd had some time away with other things going on in his life, but the Blue Sox offered him a contract and he jumped at it.
It's outside, ball 2.
Coming into this series from his previous 10 games, he'd gone 12 from 39. So that's 309 in his last 10 games, which is much more like the Jack Murphy we know. And he's had 3 hits this weekend, including his first home run as a Sydney Blue Sox player. And I think he went 2 for 6 in the classic game the other night, which went to extra innings.
It's almost close to a back foot slider by Frank Gailey, 2-2. Murphy at the start of the year, Chris, was invited as a spring training invitee by the Cleveland Indians. He was at spring training, wore number 84. There's that pitch that Gailey's been trying to work all day. Along that outside edge, just misses on that one. 3-2 again, full count. Umpire Riley Barrington steps out and calls time. And that's low, ball 4. Murphy walks.
Zach Shepherd. Zach, he's been up and down during the course of this season. 229 is what he comes in with 13 RBIs from 24 hits.
There you go, matches the number on the back of his shirt. Number 24.
There we go. The question asked up the line, and
umpire Ben Nash says yes, he went. 0-1. Just low, just below the knees there. From Gailey, 1-1. Gets Shepherd to chase that one. 1-2. Seven innings games. As Chris alluded to, you want runs on the board early. Gailey delivers. Right past Shepherd. And that retires Zach Shepherd. Third strikeout for Gailey. Brings up the left fielder Alex Howe, Chris.
Shepherd, by the way, closing in on probably an unwanted record. That, by my count, is 49 strikeouts for the season for him. He's got plenty of hits, but the problem is when he's not hitting, he's striking out. It's not like other players like, say, Candelas and Murphy, who've been getting plenty of bat on ball but hitting it a lot of the time to players. Shepherd, it's been real hit or miss stuff.
Gailey right there, high and inside. Call strike one. Alex Howe just turns around to home plate umpire Riley Barrington just to say thank you, sir. Gailey set again. Fools him with the low pitch. He swings through. Strike two. 0-2. And once again with the low pitch. 3 straight pitches. Strikes out the side, walks Jack Murphy. After 1.5 here at MIT Ballpark, it is still 0-0.
Sunbathed ground now.
Don't know if we need the water balloons after last night, Chris.
Well, on the plus side, they'll cool people down out there in the sun this afternoon. Let's turn our attention to who's coming up for this Canberra Cavalry side, though. Zach Wilson is due up. He'll be followed by Candelas and then Krause. These sides in their second series against each other for the season 2018-19, and Craig Anderson only gave up 3 hits earlier in the season against the Canberra Cavalry. Zach Wilson got 2 of those, and that was 2 hits from 2 at-bats. So Wilson versus Anderson at the moment. It is very much a big win to Zach Wilson, but Craig Anderson will be aware of that. I'll guarantee that he sat down and had a bit of thought about it as to how to approach Zach Wilson this afternoon. But Wilson is a man who has just been producing. He's had multiple game hitting streaks on several occasions. Started the season, or very early in the season, had 10 games in a row with a hit. You see him just warming up, taking it all in.
League leader in home runs. I think he leads TJ Bennett of Brisbane by 1. Bennett hit 2 last night against Auckland.
Wilson hit 2 the other night and has 3 for the weekend.
I think they were tied coming into the weekend. He steps in. So Wilson, Candelas, Krause to start off the bottom of the second. Misses low. Ball 1.
Anderson is such a different proposition for the Cavalry batters to face. You're not talking heat here, you're talking placement.
Like that, Chris Coleman swings through, strike 1.
And that's the thing, especially early in a game, you're used to a guy who throws heat, who throws well into the 90s. And Anderson, more often than not, throwing mid-80s, maybe even a little lower.
Wilson skews that off the handle of the bat. Still manages to drop good 15 paces behind second baseman Dwayne Kemp, who had to track back to get it. Out number 1.
Didn't have any problems getting to it, did Kemp, but that's an illustration there. The difference in velocity, the lack of pace out of the hand of Anderson means your timing's that little bit different, and if you don't get it on the sweet spot, it's just going to pop up. There's no rebound, or there's a lot less rebound effect.
Called strike 1 on David Candless.
Candless has, in the last couple of weeks, has really come to life. His average has gone up to 231. He's got himself up to 18 hits for the season.
Ball 1. At one point a few weeks ago, his average was around 120. Now he's starting to put it together as we... Outside, ball 2.
He went 0 for 2 on the Thursday night game, but Friday night, after grounding out in his first at-bat, had a single, a double, a single and a single. They go 4 for 5 on the night, and he'll get on base here.
There's another one. Single to right centre as Hao Wei Shen picks it up and fires it in. David Candless. He's starting to... I think you said it best a couple of weeks ago, Chris Coleman. Class is permanent.
Exactly. Form is temporary, class is permanent, and David Candless is a man who just oozes class.
Tell me a little bit about this guy, Chris Coleman. Michael Krause.
Oh, what a man. Came to the Canberra Cavalry for the 2013-14 ABL season. The Cavalry winning the Claxton Shield in 2013. Came here for the 13-14 season.
That's called strike 1 on Krause.
Was a part of the Asia Series campaign where Canberra went over to Taiwan and picked up the Asian Club Championship trophy in 2013. Had a great season, set the world on fire, massive hits, and really quick in the outfield area.
Outside to him, ball 1.
The Cavalry wanted him to come back. He wanted to come back, but they could never make it work. Melbourne swooped last year and got him in for a half-season appearance. But this year, he was saying he wanted to come back. In fact, he was corresponding with the club before Christmas.
Just misses inside, 2-1.
Corresponding with the club before Christmas as he was seeing the club winning some games, and he was saying, really wish I was there now. I had a chat with him during last weekend's action, and he was just so happy to be back. And, well, what's he done since he come back? He's just hit and hit and hit. 556 his average after the first 2 games of his return to the ABL.
That's a beautiful breaking pitch by Anderson. Krause swings through. Of course, Chris had the big 2-run home run in the bottom of the 9th on Friday night to tie the game up to send it to extras. Wasn't that a monster of a hit?
Monster of a hit in a very, very exciting game too.
2-2 is the count on Krause. Anderson throws over to first and checks Candless. Interesting to see someone like me, Chris, newer to the ballpark, only been around a couple of years, seeing on both sides of the track not only the reactions that people around the park are seeing Krause back, but also seeing Murphy back. Yes, it's in opposition colours, but just outside. Count is full, but just how much they've enjoyed being back in this Canberra ballpark.
The ballpark had a lot of work done to it in the off-season, but also to see these players coming back. And we're seeing it across the league now. Players who've come out for just thinking for one season, but coming back for repeat sets now as this league grows in stature and reputation.
Anderson once again, not with any great authority, not blitzing it over to Jacob Eunice, but trying to hold Candless to a shorter lead, induce a double play. It's right up the middle by Krause. I'm not sure if Anderson got a glove on that.
Don't think he did, going by the way it got out to
that's
centre field, but it's a single for Krause, but it nearly took the pitcher's head off.
David Candless, though, with the heads-up base running, advances all the way to third. So with 2 singles, Canberra with 1 out and 2 on. Brings up this man. We had a bit of a chat with him before the game, Chris. Boss Manaroa, his average is creeping up as well. He was loose, having a laugh, seems very relaxed. Manaroa hitting 241. He as well a few weeks ago. His average was hovering around 135, so he's picked it up as well. Anderson right there along the inside. Strike one. Anderson comes set. Time has been called. Shift on for Moanara.
Almost universally employed there. Not as big a shift.
Not with runners at first and third.
Exactly, but it's almost universally employed against this man.
Fouling high down the third base side. Alex Howe tracking around, but that's gone into the saloon area along the third base side. With runners at first and third, as you said, Chris, there is a shift on. Shepherd's probably only about 2 or 3 steps further towards second than what he'd usually be. Gift and Goppe, he is basically standing right behind second base in line with first. There goes the runner. Kraus into second. No throw from Murphy.
The throw really would have been opening up David Candless the chance to get home. You're not going to get the ball across to second and back to home, so almost a free bag for Michael Kraus, but also takes the double play, the inning-ending double play, largely off the table here.
Indeed it does. 1 and 2. The count to Boss. Candless at third. Kraus now at second. Moanarawa, he's hit that straight at Gift and Goppe.
And very nearly got the freaky inning-ending double play over there, and Goppe was aware that Kraus had gone off the bag, but Kraus getting back just in time.
You nearly jinxed it, Chris Coleman. He hit it straight at Ngoppe. Took the catch, and then the race was on back to the bag at second. Kraus just got there. They have a bit of a conversation. 2 out here, bottom of the second. Robbie Perkins in for his first at bat. Perkins batting .233. Swings through the first one. Candless has got a decent lead at third. Kraus at second. No one checking the runners. Misses with that one. 1 and 1. Anderson delivers. That's come off somewhere near the hands. And Goppe just picks it up and easy as you like. Fires over to Jacob Eunice to get the third out of the inning. The Cavalry leave a couple of runners stranded. Still 0-0, bottom of 2 at MIT Ballpark.
Ian, let's take a break.
The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to sing, to talk, to recharge, to breathe. Every moment is a chance to do.
Ooh, follow the boats to the view at the top, the snap of the dawn to the peck of the crop. Across the horizon you jump, skip and hop and never stop.
Back for the top of the third at MIT Ballpark. No score between the Canberra Cavalry and the Sydney Blue Sox. Canberra stranding 2 runners in the bottom of the last inning. They're the 2 hits for the day. Frank Gailey, Chris Coleman, had a couple of full counts in the last inning but got himself out.
Well, it's what Frank does. Really doesn't seem to worry too much about the count. Doesn't seem to worry about anything. Just gets in there and does what he does. Has a slider that is absolutely incredible. Really hard to pick out of the hand. And there's not a lot of difference between what Frank Gailey throws in terms of the arm position. Sometimes the arm's a little bit more vertical, which will give you an indication that the ball's coming out a little bit faster. But that really is, if you're a batter, doesn't do you too many favours, because you've got to make your decision before you really see where the arm's going to be. So he's such a hard man to get away. Last season in a really bat-dominated ABL, Frank had some amazing numbers. This year, his ERA is a little bit higher, but he's still striking out batter after batter after batter. He's got 49 so far, looking for strikeout number 50.
Shen bunts up the first base line as the meeting of the minds comes together on the first base side. It rolls foul.
Good play too to grab that ball as soon as it rolled into foul territory, because we've seen them in the past on that third base line roll down, roll a little bit foul, and then roll back into fair territory. We've seen that happen.
How Wei Shen, the centre fielder for the Blue Sox, tried to sneak attack. Batting 245.
Plays a lot of small ball, Shen. 23 hits, only 4 of them for extra bases.
There it is, right along the outside again from Gailey. Puts Shen quickly in the 0-2 hole. Reminder again, this is the 7-inning game. Gailey trying for that pitch along the outside. Just misses. Ball one. 1 ball. 2 strikes. Must have gone around the plate, Chris Coleman. Isn't that what the pitchers say? It's gone around the plate.
Well, I think Shen even was ready to give himself up on that, going by the first step that he made was towards the dugout. But no noise from Riley Barrington, so the count goes to 2-2.
He fouls that back on the first base side. Stays at 2-2. I'm looking at Michael Krause out in centre field, Chris Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
He's more towards the right field side of the bag. Maybe he knows something. So Shen hits that straight back to Gailey. Sticks the mid out. Picks it up, flips it over to Manaroa for the easy 1-3.
I reckon we've seen more comebackers at Frank Gailey this season than just about any other pitcher in the league. And I'm going to blame the baseball gods for this, because earlier in the year, over in New Zealand at a dinner, he was asked, how do you react when the ball comes back to you? And he said, I'll just try and stop it. No, but he says it doesn't happen very often. And since then, he's almost been a ball magnet. There's been a lot go back at him.
I think last weekend he had 3 come back at him. Michael Campbell, the right fielder. Cold strike 1 in there. Gailey starting to find a rhythm. There's the fastball, fouled back to the screen. The young lady behind the screen
flinched.
Yeah. She did big time, Chris Coleman.
I was looking for the polite word.
No, that's the polite word. That was the word I was looking for, but I loved how the instinct was to protect the drink. Move the drink out of the way first. 0-2 on Campbell. Gailey with the sidearm there.
He strikes out Campbell, and that, for Frank Gailey, is strikeout number 50 for the 2018-19 Australian Baseball League season, and that comes in just his 46th inning. That's not bad.
That is not bad at all. 5 already today through 2 2/3. Lays the bunt down. Does Trent D'Antonio. Cam Warner picks it up in foul territory on the third base side. Back you come. Foul strike 1. Gailey. It was interesting. Saw him out in the car park before the game and asked him. He was just getting his gear out as we were arriving. With the change in the narrative, was he going to pitch today in this game, with it being 7, or were they going to release him in the 9-inning game? He went straight away. Nope, game 1, that's me. D'Antonio lays off that one. Nearly induced a swing out of him, and the count is 1-1. No. Just misses again. 2 balls and 1 strike. Show the hands of home plate umpire Riley Barrington. High and inside. D'Antonio being very patient in the box. Knows he's going to get a pitch to hit here. There's the fastball. 3-1 though. Some hitters do choose to lay off. Count is now full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Count will stay the same as D'Antonio puts one over the dressing sheds here at MIT Ballpark. D'Antonio looking to get something going here for Sydney. He hits it along the ground. Francoso charges. Fires over to Morrow at first. Retires the side again. So Sydney, in the top half of the third, Chris Coleman, not doing anything for the scorers again.
No, it's been 3 innings, 10 batters, and just the 1 walk. Frank Gailey doing what Frank Gailey does. And it's super important in these 7-inning games to just keep a lid on and present the other side from scoring. Canberra left 2 on base. Sydney have left 1 on. And for Canberra, it'll be Carl Perkins, Michael Francoso and Cam Warner due up.
You look after them. And with amazing eyesight driver assist technology, we'll look after you. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do. The all-new Subaru Forester. Finally, the recognition you deserve. Everything changes the moment you get in. Every moment is a chance to do.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously. Why? Because we see greatness in you. It's right there, inside, just waiting to be discovered. And we should know, because we're #1 too. #1 in the ACT, for full-time employment, for starting salary, for student support, and learning resources. Yep, all the things that matter. So even though we're #1, you're still #1 to us. Might sound corny, but hey, it's 100% true.
Australian Baseball League action between the Canberra Cavalry and the Sydney Blue Sox heading into the bottom of the third, and it is a scoreless game at the moment. But Canberra, well, they're about to pose some big questions of Sydney's pitcher Craig Anderson. Kyle Perkins with an average of 221 to be followed by Michael Francoso and Cam Warner. Maury Petherbridge with the action.
Called strike 1 on Kyle Perkins. Tried to drop the curve in. Just high. Must be said as well, we're talking about Gailey getting into a rhythm. Anderson seems to have found a good spot as well.
I'll see if I can actually dig up some numbers on Anderson against Canberra over the years. I would suspect if he's not the most successful pitcher against Canberra, he'd be right up there.
1 and 2. Perkins has hit that straight up. Anderson coming in. Zach Shepherd coming in. Shepherd calls off Anderson and takes the catch in foul territory.
But yeah, as you mentioned earlier in the coverage was Craig Anderson announcing during the course of the week that it was going to be his final season in the Australian Baseball League. 33 wins, 31 losses as things stand at the moment. 96 games, and he's played in every single ABL season for the Sydney Blue Sox.
Francoso takes a called strike one. He hit it straight to second baseman Dwayne Kemp in the top of the first.
Coming into this series, he'd thrown 537 innings, 537.2 innings dating back to 2010.
That's high. Quickly takes the count to 2 balls and 1 strike on Francoso.
And
Francoso, he's gotten underneath that. Shakes the head. All the runners come in. It's right in the middle of no man's land as Alex Howe comes sliding into attempt, but it gets under his glove. So that is a single with snow on it, Chris Coleman.
yeah, always hard to take when you've got a run like that. 3 players coming in. It's the old saying, hit them where the fielders ain't. Mind you, that's not the textbook way to do it, to hit it equidistant from the third baseman, or sorry, the shortstop, the left fielder and the centre fielder. That's not the textbook way to do it, but Francoso won't complain. He's got a hit, he's on with a single to left field, and that's the 3rd hit for the Cavalry. But can they get hits in groups? That's been the question for the Cavalry for a lot of this season. They've started doing it last week and this week. They need to keep on doing it to get runs on the board.
Inside to Cam Warner, ball 1. Warner struck out in his first at bat. Francoso leading away from first. Anderson checks over at him. That's on the outside. That's gone over the head of second baseman Dwayne Kemp. Drops into right field for a hit. As Ngope and Francoso were next to each other, you could say. Francoso had rounded second, was having a cheeky look. Ngope was right there with him, and the throw came in from the right field of Michael Campbell. They were both running back to the bag together.
So what you're seeing here is now the Cavalry bats on the second time through, Francoso and Warner have adjusted to the slower speed of the pitching, the lower velocity of the pitching from Craig Anderson. You're not going to see too many big hits off him, but you see them, they will fall short. So it does open up different type of scoring opportunities. A bit of small ball around, and the Cavalry now with 1 out, runners on first and second, and Craig Massey batting.
Low and inside, ball 1 to Massey. As well with his pitching grip. Looks like he puts a lot of rotation on the ball, Anderson. So you will see a lot of hits that drop short, like what happened there with Cam Warner. Even with Francoso skying it. Oh! With a backhanded pick. Over to Ngope at first. Over. Oh no.
Trouble.
Francoso's in a rundown. So we'll have to catch everyone up on that. The screen didn't catch it. So he's hit it straight back. So Massey's hit it straight back to Craig Anderson. He's back gloved it, thrown it to Ngope over at short for the first out. He's fired over to Eunice to try and get Massey, who was called safe. In the meantime, Francoso was run from second, rounded third, and then been caught in a rundown after the play at first was ruled safe. Eunice has fired to Murphy and caught Francoso in a rundown with Zach Shepherd.
Welcome to play-by-play, Was.
Thanks.
Welcome to play-by-play. That's the kind of stuff that you've just got to try and keep a tab on, and I think you've nailed it absolutely perfectly. Warwick Featherbridge on the play there. Always difficult when that happens, and we talked about comebackers earlier to Frank Gailey, and well, Craig Anderson just showing the textbook way to deal with that, and just so smart to not worry about getting the ball straight to first. Get the play at second and pick up a speedy runner in Cam Warner.
Also trying for the double with 1 down.
And then Sydney actually turning it into the double play. The old 1 to 6 to 3 to 5 to whatever double play.
Smiles in the Sydney dugout.
Oh, why wouldn't you? You've got runners in scoring position and 1 out, and you get out of it with an unorthodox double play. You'd be very happy with how that's played out.
The funny part is most of the time you try for that behind the back glove reach and it doesn't come off. And
most of the time they just go flying past, or they'll flick the glove on the way through. Well done, Craig Anderson. The score remains 0-0 after 3.
We just had a shot on the screen. Jason Rogers, the man who arrived yesterday. He's wearing the 99 of the Blue Sox. Jacob Eunice. He steps in here to start the 4th inning, and we are moving along at a very quick pace here at MIT Ballpark. Jacob Eunice, he hit it straight to Boss Minor, who went over and stepped on the bag in the top of the 1st. Strike 1 as Eunice swings through. Talk about a team guy, Chris Coleman. Long-time shortstop here for the Blue Sox. Exceptionally good shortstop. Has made the move over to first base. Whatever the team needs, basically, was his mantra. Gailey tries for that pitch along the outside and just misses. 1-1. We got to have a chat with Tony Harris. You introduced me to him before today's proceedings. As Gailey comes set. Foul back on the first base side. Quickly, 1-2 is the count. Tony Harris saying not that there was anything wrong, but they've had a bit of a tweak of the culture at Sydney, and everybody's buying in, and that Jacob Eunice was one of the first guys to get on board, knowing when they picked up Gift Ngope that he wasn't going to see a lot of time at shortstop. Fouls it along the third base side. Count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes. And you're seeing it evident this season, Chris. The new Sydney, they're putting wins on the board. They're winning on the road, which is something they'd struggled with in past seasons. It's high from Gailey, 2-2. Just looking at Robbie Perkins as he's catching and gives his sign to Gailey. And when Gailey's happy with what he's got, he keeps his hand on his belt, just above his belt line here. That is not a spot that you want to have your throwing hand as a catcher. I'm wondering if the knock he took in the first innings is still affecting him. Well, maybe it's the new thing as Eunice pops up. Out to right field, David Candless there.
You really get the feel this game's an arm wrestle. It's 2 quality pitchers, and it's been the story of the ABL this year. The pitching we've seen across the league this season has been fabulous. I know there are people who aren't a fan of 7-inning games, but sometimes they're a necessity, especially in a short season league like this, and to get a game rescheduled, we're only getting 7 innings today. But the prospect of seeing Frank Gailey go 7 innings up against Craig Anderson, who could go 7 innings today, this is mouth-watering. This really is going to be who blinks first.
It is indeed, Chris Coleman. Dwayne Kemp, the second baseman. Gailey misses high for ball 1. As well as you've alluded to in the past as well, with a potential of, with no extras, seeing 16 innings of baseball today. Saving your bullpen arms is at a premium. As Gailey misses again for 2-0, sorry. The 1 is the 1 out that the Blue Sox have. I just looked up and the scoreboard caught the corner of my eye. Quickly the count to Kemp is 3-0. Kemp crouches in. And that's high, and on 4 straight pitches, Gailey issues his second walk of the day. So far, that's all that Sydney has, Chris Coleman, 2 walks.
Dangerous place to walk a batter. It's a really dynamic duo, and I don't mean that in cartoon character sense. But you've got Kemp and Ngope, who are not just teammates, they're mates, they're good friends. They met at the MLB Europe Academy years ago. They know each other's games really well, and having them batting back-to-back in the lineup, they're both well above 300 in batting averages, some 76 hits between the two of them for the season coming into today. So capable of doing plenty and bringing each other home on a regular basis during the season.
Gailey throws the moonshot over to Marawa at first. Gailey just after that at bat there from Dwayne Kemp, signalled over to the Cavalry dugout. As Ngobe hits that straight to Gailey. Gailey fires to Francoso over to Marawa, and that is an inning-ending double play. And there we go, Chris. Halfway through the 4th inning, still Sydney 0, Canberra 0.
Well, double plays galore this afternoon. That one a little bit more orthodox than the one preceding it. 1 to 6 to 3. Prior to that, if you're wanting to score that one out, the double play from the Cavalry in the bottom of the 3rd, we've got the official listing on it now. Are you ready?
I'll have a crack.
I've got it here. It was 1 to 6 to 3 to 2 to 5.
That's how I had it scored?
Yeah. You don't see that every day. 1 to 6 to 3 to 2 to 5.
But so far, halfway through the 4th inning, we're halfway through this 7-inning game. Canberra have no runs on 4 hits. Sydney have no runs on no hits, but they have 2 walks.
Mentioned it earlier was that it's been the Achilles heel of this Canberra side. They've been getting hits, but rarely been able to get enough hits in the early part of the season to bring players home. That changed a little bit last week against the Auckland Tuatara, where they got some big scores up. Late Thursday night in a game, Thursday night they got a few through the course of the night, but it was really Zach Wilson who did the bulk of the damage, and it wasn't until late in the 8th inning where it was Wilson got a double, Candelas a walk, Krause a hit, Perkins a walk. But it wasn't until really late Friday night, the 8th, the 9th and the 10th inning, the first extra inning, where the Cavalry put hits together back to back, and they did it repeatedly and came from 8-3 down halfway through the 5th, 8-4 down after 5 to win that game 10-9 in extras. A truly remarkable game of baseball. But here we are, as you mentioned, midpoint of a 7-inning sprint on a Sunday afternoon, and there's no score between Canberra and Sydney.
And now, Zach Wilson, he's the man in the box. Must have just missed on the outside there from Craig Anderson. You were saying that in the earlier series, Wilson was 2 for 2. Anderson got him to fly to the second baseman, Kemp, in the second innings. It's ball outside, 2-0. But now the Cavalry on this second time through, Wilson, Candelas, Krause, they started off. Misses again, 3-0. Anderson. There it is right there. Called strike. 3 balls and 1 strike. And that's in the dirt. And that's ball 4. I believe that is Anderson's first walk for the day.
Correct. As you mentioned earlier, Wilson leading the home run count for the league. There's been plenty of Cavalry players who've done that. I'd imagine we'll get one more plate appearance from Wilson in this game. And when that one happens, I'll go through the details of where he's at in terms of elite company in the Australian Baseball League, because there's been several Cavalry players who've topped that list over time, and he's up there with some pretty decent names.
This is one of them.
Indeed it is.
David Candelas. That one misses. Ball 1. This is what we were alluding to a couple of weeks ago. Well, the first series here. The start of December, a month ago, Chris Coleman. And now this Cavalry lineup, the hits are coming. Candelas takes strike 1. 1-1 is the count on David Candless. Anderson misses low. Count is 2 balls and 1 strike. Just on the outside. Time is called. Jack Murphy. He's going out for a chat. Whether it's... This pitch has been working for us all year, but it's not working today. Count is 3-1 to David Candless. Zach Wilson. He's at first after the lead-off walk. Candless steps back in. And that's high. Ball 4. So quickly, Canberra with none out here in the bottom of the 4th inning have 2 runners on.
And now it's pressure.
We have, indeed it is, Chris, but we have seen from both sides in the last inning the ability to get out with inning-ending double plays.
Well, they'll need more than just a double play here, of course. None out, 2 on, no score. And really, you take the lead in the second half of a 7-inning game, and we're into that second half now. It's usually, it's very rare for you to be run down.
Anderson high to Krause. That is the 11th pitch of this inning. He has 2 called strikes and 9 balls. And there is a called strike. 1-1. As you heard the crowd on our effects mic getting right behind Michael Krause. The latest addition this season to the Cavalry lineup. Anderson turns to check Wilson. No one was there. But as always, if you turn to second, you do not have to throw. He lines that straight up the middle, Krause, for a base hit. Wilson is charging home. And Wilson wisely heads back to third. He looked like for half a second he was coming.
He was being given the big 2-handed stop sign from Keith Ward. He rounded third and he'd gone a good 30 feet past. I think that was more in the hope that the throw wasn't going to continue to come in, that it was going to a cut-off man, but he was well aware of what was going on. But now the Cavalry load him up. A Cavalry man on every corner, and there's no score on the board here, but that may be about to change. And here's a man who loves nothing more than coming in with the bases loaded, Boss Moanaroa.
I must say, Chris, even as a commentator, hearing the sounds of "I'm bossy" as he walks to the plate with runners on still gives me chills. Anderson gets a called strike right at the knees from Moanaroa.
I don't think Boss Moanaroa has ever had a home run off Craig Anderson. I don't think it's ever happened. Certainly not at ABL level.
They were teammates for a long time. Drops that one in over the top half of the... right at the belt. 0-2. Wilson is the runner at third. Candless at second. Krause at first. None out here. Bottom of the 4th at MIT Ballpark. Beautiful day after a washout last night, which is making this first game 7 innings. And that's inside. 1-2.
Home run's not the target here. This is just get the ball out of the infield, get it into one of the big wide open gaps. There's a huge gap between centre and right. The right fielder, Campbell, is way down on the foul line.
The infield has the shift on as much as they can with loaded bases, but Shen in centre field is playing very straight. Maonaroa down the line, gets past the glove of the diving Jacob Eunice. 1 run is in, 2 runs are in. The throw over to third by Michael Campbell gets Michael Krause. He is tagged out. So Maonaroa with the 2 RBI single to right field, and then Michael Campbell, realising he was not going to get Candless at home, fires to third and picks up Krause for the first out.
Krause thrown out at third, but the Cavalry with a 2-run lead, bottom of the 4th, and with only 1 out, they'll be looking to build on that, courtesy of the Perkins brothers, the first of whom is Robbie, who's in the batter's box now.
Outside, ball 1.
Good throw from Campbell.
That was an amazing throw.
The 9 to 5 play, we don't see a lot of those in the ABL. We've seen them with increasing frequency in Major League Baseball in recent years, but don't see a lot of them in the ABL.
Robbie swings through, misses that one, strike 1, 1-1. More recently, of course, now Cincinnati Red, Yasiel Puig.
Oh, God, say it again. Break my heart. Go on.
I've seen a few from him, but 1 and 2 on Robbie Perkins. But just the awareness of Campbell to pick up that ball, look over and see that he was not going to get Candless at home plate, and the awareness to make that throw over to third to Shepherd. That's ball 2 and 2.
Also, not just to throw to Shepherd to get the out there, but to actually get the fast runner, Krause, who would be exceedingly dangerous at third, as opposed to Boss, with the greatest respect, who's a bit slower.
But as well, Krause was held up at first base with the ball going that way as it's 2 and 2 as Perkins fouls it back. Krause was held up at first base because the ball was hit in his direction, so he had to stop, because if the ball hits him before it gets to Jacob Eunice, he's out. So he had to stop, wait for the ball to go past, and then... And that's low. And the count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. Bottom of the 4th here at MIT Ballpark. Boss Maonaroa, he's the man at first with the... Well, it was a none out at the time RBI double. 2 RBI singles, sorry. That's the word I was looking for.
Boss goes, and there's something you don't see every day.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway. It's not a stolen base because Perkins walks.
Boss was off. He was ready. I was all ready to get it in the book as a stolen base, but it goes down as a walk. Getting a little bit ahead of proceedings. That's the 3rd walk in this half an inning, and that may be the end for Craig Anderson here.
I'm not seeing anyone warming up in the Sydney pen yet.
There's someone running up there now, and there's a flurry of activity now. There's a lot of guys suddenly bouncing up in the bullpen. Could I just throw in one other thing about that play there from Campbell across to Shepherd? There's another person we need to give a mention in there, and that is the umpire, because when you've got the bases loaded and none out, there's a lot of diamond to be covered by an umpire, and Matt Pearson and Ben Nash, the umpires there, obviously knowing each other's officiating roles well, but Matt Pearson getting across and getting in the right position again, because he doesn't know whether the throw's going to come into second or third. He has to make sure he gets in the right spot, and he got himself perfectly positioned to adjudicate on the play. So well done, Matt Pearson, as we now have Kyle Perkins in with runners at first and second, Maonaroa at second, Robbie Perkins at first, and a 1-0 count on Kyle Perkins.
Perkins got up and under 1. He takes ball 2. He got up and under 1 in the 3rd inning, which Zach Shepherd called in foul territory, not far from Jack Murphy. 1 out here. Perkins has lasered that straight at Zach Shepherd, who's caught it and fired over to Jacob Eunice. Another inning-ending double play here, bottom of 4, but Canberra get the runs on the board. They lead 2-0 over the Blue Sox.
Outstanding visibility, so you don't miss a thing. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Calamari.
Calamari.
Calamari!
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
Hurry up with that thing.
Have you tried the grey cake?
Yeah, I've tried it all. Okay. So who are you backing in this game?
With their three-point shooting.
Guys, relax. I got this.
Don't want to miss a second of the action this season? With Tabs Basketball Live Vision, you can stream games and access exclusive previews for free, anytime, anywhere.
Whoa, don't splash the box.
Yeah, don't splash the box.
Who are you backing this NBA season? Tab. Download the app today.
We're back at MIT Ballpark. At the top of the 5th inning. Canberra got some runs in the bottom of the 4th. With none out. Boss Monroe with the 2 RBI single. Krause was then picked off at 3rd on an excellent throw from Michael Campbell in right field. And then the inning-ending double play there was Kyle Perkins with the line drive to Zach Shepherd. Shepherd then firing over to first base to Jacob Eunice, because with the hit, Robbie Perkins thought, you're always stuck in no man's land there.
Oh, it's a horrible thing when you're the runner at first and you see the ball go like a bullet to third. You think, yeah, I'm going to be able to go here. I won't have to tag up.
And then it was a very low catch by Shepherd. So Perkins was caught on the throw over because not tagging up. The throw over to first beat Perkins trying to get back to the bag for that tag. So that's another, I think that's 3 inning-ending double plays so far this morning, or this afternoon. As Jack Murphy steps in. Murphy got a walk in the second. And that's outside from Gailey, as you said, Chris Coleman. 2 for his first 50, but in his last 10 games batting .309. I've just gotten a message through, as that one's high for 2-0, that what Perkins is doing with his hand is something that a lot of catchers does. Balls the fingers up. That one's high and outside again. It's quickly 3-0 to Jack Murphy. So you protect the fingers, but the hand is there ready to throw. One's right there. I've honestly never seen that technique used.
There you go. That's the thing about baseball, I keep saying it, you never know what you're going to get.
Murphy swings through, he misses, takes the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Gailey set, payoff pitch. He misses outside.
Jack dictating the terms. He decided that was a walk and he was off. Didn't wait for a call. Mind you, he has about the best eyes of anyone I've seen in this league.
At the same time, I call it the catcher's advantage, Chris, because when you're behind the plate working for your pitcher, you know where the calls are and where they aren't.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Shepherd, who struck out in the second, but he brought about that inning-ending double play a few moments ago. Takes ball 1 outside.
Just because Canberra are up 2-0 here in the top of the 5th, don't lock this one away. This has been a series where one side scores, the other side counterpunches more often than not.
Outside and low. Pull 2.
So both pitchers with 69 pitches for the game so far. Gailey's thrown 40 strikes and Anderson 38.
And there it is, breaks late over the plate. Count as 2 balls and 1 strike to Zach Shepherd. Right across the inside from Frank Gailey. Beautiful pitching. Goes out, goes in. 2-2. Well, I've got 2-2. Shepherd hits that straight up. Michael Krause in centre field, tracking back to it. Takes it over his head.
I tell you what, I wonder whether there's a bit of wind at higher levels, because at ground level there's not much around at all. But the way Krause had to set, then reset, and then reset a second time on that, I just wonder whether there's a bit more breeze at higher level that we can't see any indication of.
One out. Here in the top of the 5th. Alex Howe steps in. He struck out to win the second. Jack Murphy, the runner at first for Sydney. Gailey. Straight in there. Howe along the ground. Francoso gloved the ball, but then on the pier away, as he's trying to transition from glove to throwing hand, as something's gone wrong and the ball's bobbled out. So nothing there. As Murphy, he's now at second. Howe at first, and Sydney have got 2 base runners on here with none out in the top of the 5th. Brings up Hao Wei Shen. He swings through strike for strike 1, as we've lost our scoreboard here at MIT Ballpark. I think it's just had a complete reset. It's showing zeros across the board.
It's definitely not a 0-0 game.
Ball 1. 1-on-1. So the scoreboard has reset. They're fixing it now. Canberra 2, Sydney 0, none out. Runners at first and second for the Blue Sox. So that's outside. Two balls, 1 strike. The count to Hao Wei Shen. Three balls and 1 strike. Shen. Good contact. Foul down the first base line. Makes the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. This is where the game gets interesting. Top of the 5th, none out. I'm saying 1 out. Oh yes, it's Shepherd. My apologies.
Canberra will want another one of those inning-ending double plays, was. That's what they'll be after.
I'm not saying it, Chris, because I'm not trying to jinx it. But that would be wonderful. Shen did hit hit it straight back to Gailey in the top of the third. Don't think he'd mind that again. Count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Shannon swings through, strikes out for the second out here in the top of the 5th. Now I was just waiting to see, they have scored that as a hit to Alex Howe.
It'd be hard to give that as an error.
Well, I didn't think it was an error.
No, but
I was waiting for official ruling.
We do wait for the official call, and yeah, it'd be hard to give that as an error. He
lost it in transition, so it's not a... As that brings up Michael Campbell, the right fielder. Pulls it foul down the first base side. The left-hander. Frank Gailey. Looking at Murphy at second. It's Murphy at second and Howe at first for the Blue Sox. 1 strike on Michael Campbell. Howe has hit that straight into centre field. Murphy rounding third. He gets held up as the throw comes in from Krause at centre. Sydney now with their second hit of the afternoon. Loads the bases.
Now the pressure's on.
A blue sock on every bag.
So 2 outs, bases loaded. Currently the Canberra side leading 2-0, but well, it could all be about to change.
Brian Grenning, the pitching coach. He's out having a bit of a word with Gailey and Robbie Perkins. It looks like there are people starting to get loose in the Cavalry bullpen. This is a more of a, just going to give people a couple of minutes to get warm just in case Frank doesn't get out of this jam. Bases loaded, top of the 5th, 2 out for the Blue Sox. Murphy at third, Howe at second, Campbell the man at first. Misses, ball 1.
Trent D'Antonio this season has come up with the bases loaded 3 times and has yet to get a hit. But he's had 2 walks. So go figure. Scoring positions, 2 outs. He's come up and he's batting 1-1-1 from 9 at-bats.
Called strike 1. Evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike.
So take what you like from those numbers.
Crowd starting to get behind Gailey. Making a bit of noise. 1-1 is the count. Right there again.
Crowd starting to build up a little bit here because the Sunday afternoon games, when we have them here in Canberra, early afternoon clash with club ball, but good to see a smattering of Sydney Blue Sox fans over here today. Let's get the crowd numbers down a little bit. One of our former commentators here at Canberra Cavalry, Anthony Overs, having his 50th birthday party today. Wasn't meant to clash with the game, obviously detracting from some of the numbers as well.
Happy birthday, Anthony. 1 and 2. And Gailey gets D'Antonio to swing through and strike out. Great comeback pitching, leaves the bases loaded for the Blue Sox. In the middle of 5.
Seven strikeouts for Frank Gailey this afternoon. And being a 7-inning game,
it's the fifth
inning stretch here at MIT Ballpark. So the crowd, I won't say the crowd all up on their feet, some of them up on their feet, plenty of people taking the opportunity to stretch. We'll need a bit of it this afternoon though, because this one will finish and there'll be another game straight afterwards. Well, not straight afterwards, we'll get a little bit of a break between the two. But Canberra, the only side that have really been able to put a dent in the Sydney Blue Sox during the course of this season so far. The Sox have lost 10 games, won 20, lost 10. 5 of those losses have come at the hands of the Canberra Cavalry. The two sides compete for a trophy every season called the Hume Highway Cup.
Question. Is it not a glass bat?
It is now a glass bat. That's a new trophy that's been implemented.
So shouldn't it be the Hume Highway bat?
Well, it should be the trophy of some sort. The Hume Highway, of course, runs from Sydney to Melbourne. So again, some questions over the naming of that trophy. I put a suggestion up earlier in the series that perhaps naming it after two players who've been involved.
Well, you said,
and I said the Gregorius Oxspring Cup.
I counter.
You counter?
Well, the man on the mound, Anderson Grenning.
Anderson Grenning could be another one. Indeed, there's plenty of other options, and I'm sure that over time, I'm sure there's a discussion about actually renaming it to something slightly more appropriate than the Hume Highway Cup. So, but I'm sure the league will take suggestions on board, or the clubs will take suggestions on board, and you'll hear about that in due course. But at the moment, Canberra, they held it after last season, and they hold it again, having won 5 of 6 between the sides already this season, with this game and one more to come. The worst that could happen from a Canberra perspective is 5-3. Sydney won't be able to pinch that one. But Canberra at the moment holding a 2-0 lead as we go into the bottom of the 5th out of 7 innings.
Francoso steps in, ball 1. He's 1 for 2 today with a ground out and a strategically placed high fly into left centre that dropped between everyone. The called strike, 1-1.
Strategically placed.
Strategically placed. He meant it, Chris Coleman.
Okay.
That's what every hitter will say when it drops. Francoso lines one out straight to the left fielder, Alex Howe, and that's his second hit of the day. And this is what Sydney, now on the 3rd run through the order for the Cavalry against Anderson.
Just trying to work out what Francoso's numbers will be. He came into this game with an average of 460.
2 for 3 today.
2 for 3 today. I'm going to take a stab at 464, 465 with 2 weeks of the regular season to go. Those are numbers that border on the obscene. That is just a phenomenal batting average.
Can't disagree with you, Chris. Anderson checks Francoso at first. Cam Warner. He bunts. Back towards Anderson. Anderson doesn't even look at Francoso. Turns and sends it straight to Jacob Eunice. The sacrifice bunt from Cam Warner. Francoso now up at second. 1 out. In the bottom of the 5th. Craig Massey. He's hit into a... hit one to Dwayne Kemp at second for the 4-3. Also hit into a fielder's choice. His last at bat. Anderson turns. Keeping Francoso second. Thought about going but didn't. Murphy turns around to home plate umpire Riley Barrington. Ball 1. Massey coming into today batting 296. 34 hits, only 12 strikeouts. 15 RBI. Anderson gets strike one. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Anderson again. Turns towards Francoso. And Gope is very close to Francoso, almost shadowing him. He backs off. Massey fouls it back. 1 and 2. One ball, 2 strikes to Craig Massey. Michael Francoso, he's the man at second with 1 out. Massey with, I call it the power bunt. Just comes through Chris Kelman and meets it.
I'm not going to be drawn on that. I'll just let that one slide through. We've got the update on Francoso's average, by the way.
We'll get that in a moment. 1 and 2. Anderson. Massey along the ground to Kemp. He fields and quickly flicks it to Jacob Eunice for out number 2. But because I'm being on the right side of the diamond, Michael Francoso takes the time to sneak over to third base.
And that number for Francoso?
Yes.
470. Can I just say that one more time? 470.
Chris Coleman, have you ever seen a batting performance in this league as close to the one that you're seeing?
Well, Joe Baum last season went 408.
He did indeed.
I don't have the computing power to tell you what Francoso would need to do to drop to 408, but I suspect it would be an almighty slump.
And just while we were catching that up, Anderson is coming out of the game.
And they've intentionally walked Zach Wilson.
So I was about to say, Zach Wilson has been sent to first.
So they've walked Wilson to get to Candless.
And that looks to me like Tyler Herr.
What do you call him?
Oh, I don't know if I used to call him the ticket inspector in his time last year here in Canberra.
Well, he's another of the players involved in this series who've been on both sides of the fence. Started out as a Sydney Blue Sox player, played for Canberra for a few years, now back in Sydney Blue Sox colours. So he's a man probably known to just about everyone on both of these clubs.
Gave him the name the ticket inspector last year because he liked to punch people out.
For people not familiar with that term, it's about getting strikeouts. It's not anything to do with the pugilistic arts or getting into the ring.
No, not at all.
It is getting your ticket punched out of the game.
Yes. That's why I like to strike batters out. With the big punch out.
Got plenty of them.
I'm surprised by this tactic, Chris Coleman. Maybe they feel...
Well, I think it's a case of they don't want to give up any more runs.
They don't want to pitch it at Wilson.
So I'll give you some numbers for Anderson while we are waiting here, bearing in mind that he is still responsible for runners who are on base. But Anderson, 4.2 innings pitched, 7 hits. He's given up 2 runs at this stage, both earned. 4 walks, 1 strikeout off 78 pitches, 45 strikes, 6 groundouts and no flyouts. And as you said, replaced by Tyler Herr, one of the tallest players in this league. One of, not the, but one of.
David Candler steps in 1 for 1. Had a single in the second, as that is low, ball 1. And was walked in the 4th. And he was one of the 2 runs to cross the plate for Canberra. Sorry, Chris.
Tyler Herr coming into this game with 12 innings pitched from 10 games across the season and an ERA of 0.75. More than handy. 12 innings pitched and 18 strikeouts.
Very handy numbers when you can bring that out of your bullpen. 2 balls is the count to Candless, 2 out. 3 balls is the count to Candless, 2 out. Bottom of the 5th. Michael Francoso, sorry, Chris, he's the runner at third. Zach Wilson, he's the man at first after the intentional walk.
And Tyler Herr's only walked 4 coming into today for this season.
Well, the count is 3-0 to Candless. So that's right down the middle for a called strike one. Candless, he's the man at the plate. Michael Krause, he's in on deck. As Wilson went, but the pitch was low, and so that's a walk anyway. Second time today that the Canberra Cavalry base runner has taken off. Boss Mararoa did it as well.
Second time today that a walk has contributed to loading the bases, I think.
Michael Krause. I think you're right, Chris Coleman. Michael Krause steps in. He has he's 2 for 2. Loaded bases, 2 out. Canberra leading so far, 2 runs to 0. Here comes set. There's that nice pitch along the outside.
So Tyler Herr played for Sydney back in 2012-13, 16 games, 3-2 win-loss. A few years away from the league, played for Canberra 16-17 and 17-18, played 22 games there.
Krause wanted all of that one.
Oh, didn't he just?
0-2.
So having probably his best season in statistical terms by quite some way. I mentioned his ERA of 0.75 compared to a career ERA of 4.06. So Tyler Herr really pitching well for Sydney this season.
That's outside for ball 1. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes to Michael Krause. Just quickly, Francoso, he's the runner at third. Wilson at second, Candless at first. 2 out. Check the swing.
And there's the experience of Jack Murphy behind the dish. A lot of other catchers would say, would ask the question up first base. Krause managed to check the swing sufficiently there, but a lot of catchers would ask that question. Murphy knew that he didn't ask the question. There's no point. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bases loaded.
High and outside. And quickly, Krause has gone from 0-2 to a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
This is where anything can happen in the world of baseball. With a full count, the bases loaded, 2 outs.
Chris Coleman.
I'll just get well out of your way, Warwick. It's all yours.
You are fine, my friend. Well, I was going to say, pivotal pitch of this game for the Blue Sox. And called strike 3. And we will take a quick break here at MIT Ballpark. Bottom of 5, Canberra 2, Sydney 0.
Brimming with brilliant tech, safety and entertainment. The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to do.
Ooh, follow the boats to the view at the top, the snap of the dawn to the peck of the crop. Across the horizon you jump, skip and hop, but never stop.
We're back at MIT Ballpark, top of the 6th inning. Canberra 2, Sydney 0. Tyler Herr, bases loaded, 2 out, full count. Pressure pitch, pivotal pitch, Chris Coleman, and
gets Michael Krause to strike out looking. That's no mean feat there. Because Wilson got the intentional walk, we didn't get a chance to actually go through the numbers that he has generated so far this season. He has 11 home runs. That's league leading for him. It also means he's the Cavalry's leading home run hitter. And the Cavalry have done some quick numbers about some of the other players who've topped the home run tally for Canberra over the years.
Topped the league home run
tally. There's only been one Cavalry player who's topped the league home run tally. That was Adam Bashini, more than handy. Triple crown year for him in 2012, 15 home runs in there. But other players that have led the Canberra Cavalry home run tally over time, David Candelas and Brian Bergamy. So some very handy players over time, and Zach Wilson in that elite company with 11 home runs so far. It's Frank Gailey pitching to Jacob Eunice.
Gailey just misses outside. Eunice looked like he was shaping to bunt. Pivotal pitch by Tyler Herr for the Blue Sox. Needed to, as Gailey comes right back.
Had ice in his veins, Tyler Herr, to leave it, to go for the strike at the top end of the zone against Krause, a man who does like the ball up high.
That's the old pitch, Chris, that goes around the plate.
A couple of those today.
Count is 2 balls, 1 strike to Jacob Eunice. Eunice 0 for 2. Hit one straight at Moanarawa in the first. Ball outside. 3-1. And he flied to David Candelas in the 4th at right field. Three and 1. Fouled back by Eunice. Count is full again.
That's how far up that one went. Took a long time to land before it landed on the roof of our grandstand here. Took a long time to come back down. That was a real 500-footer. 500 feet straight up in the air.
Does it actually come down with snow here in Canberra? Is it close enough?
At times, probably not today.
Not at all today. Payoff pitch. Howe pops it up. Craig Massey is the man underneath it. He's called off by Candelas. Exactly how it should be for the first out. The man coming in, if he can get to it, call him off. So he's had a deeper fly to Candelas and now a shallower fly to Candelas. Jacob Eunice. Dwayne Kemp. He is 0 for 1. Lined one to Francoso in the first. Had a 4-pitch walk in the 4th before, as that's a called strike 1, before he was involved in the 1-6-3 double play to win the 4th. It's very low. Dwayne Kemp. That's outside. 1 and 1.
Just wondering whether this will be the last inning of Gailey or whether we'll get to see one more. He's into the 90s in his pitch count now, so he'd be right on the limit at this stage.
Kemp up and out of play.
And that one's on the roof of the grandstand as well, and in fact immediately above our booth. I've just seen it fall off the back behind us through the back window, so we know where that one's landed. 1 and 2 the count on the batter.
They spent all that money on a new roof, Chris, and it still makes the same sound. 1 and 2. There doesn't seem to be a lot happening in the Cavalry bullpen. Kemp. And that is going to drop right along the line in the right field for a single. But never fear, because in the 4th, Gift and Gope hit one straight back to Gailey for the 1-6-3. Cavalry fans would like to see a repeat of that. But this man, Chris Coleman, as you alluded to before the start of his first at bat, 372 before today. He's 0 for 2 today with a strikeout and the ground into the double play.
365 his average has dropped to, but that's still extraordinarily good batting.
Called strike 1.
Umpire Riley Barrington calling on that one. 0-1. 2-run ball game hangs in the balance here in the 6th.
Gailey delivers, and that's low. 1 and 1. As you said, this man, Gift Ngope, has an ability to get on base a lot.
He hasn't been on base today.
No. And that's outside. 2-1. I'm looking up towards the Cavalry bullpen in between pitches. There does seem to be someone on the fence, Chris Coleman, ready to come in if needed. And Gope fouls it back. First base side.
Just give you what that means for Ngope having been on base every game. That's 25 games that he's played, that he's been on base in all 25 of them.
That's impressive.
And here he is.
Potentially,
yeah, 2-2. He'll be aware of that record as well. So will Gailey, for that matter.
Along the ground to Francoso, to Massey, over to Moanaroa. Double play again to end the inning here in the top of the 6th at MIT Ballpark. We'll grab a quick break before we come home with the bottom of the 6th.
The all-new Subaru Forester. Every moment is a chance to sing, to talk, to recharge, to breathe. Every moment is a chance to do.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously. Why? Because we see greatness in you. It's right there, inside, just waiting to be discovered. And we should know, because we're number 1 too. Number 1 in the ACT, for full-time employment, for starting salary, for student support, and learning resources. Yep, all the things that matter. So even though we're number 1, you're still number 1 to us. Might sound corny, but hey, it's 100% true.
We're back for the bottom of the 6th here at MIT Ballpark. Cavalry leading 2-0 over the Sydney Blue Sox. Dwayne Kemp got on, but once again, Gift and Gope hits into the double play. Straight to the shortstop, Michael Francoso. Flick to Massey at second, over to Moanaroa at first. The inning-ending double plays are happening a lot today, Chris Coleman.
Well, it's amazing. You can go through a whole game without seeing double plays. In fact, you can go multiple games without seeing them. But today, double plays from both sides.
But I don't think we've just seen a 1 and 2 out double play. They've all been inning-ending double plays and getting out of jam double plays.
Well, let's have a look. For Sydney, there was a double play that ended their 4th inning. It was a 1-6-3, and there was a double play that we've just seen that ended the 6th inning, 6-4-3. For Canberra, in the 3rd, there was the 1-6-3 to 2-5. Just an everyday 5-player involved double play. And then in the 4th was a double play as well for Canberra that wrapped things up with the catch at 3rd off the line drive to first base. So the 5-3 for the benefit of our NITV viewers who perhaps aren't familiar with the numbers. Pitcher is 1, catcher is 2, first base is 3, second base is 4, third base is 5, and shortstop is 6. Don't ask why, it's just the way it's always been done. And then the outfielders go 7, 8, 9. So if you hear us say a 4-3 double play, it is from second base to first to complete the play, or a fly ball to Wade as a catch in centre field.
Boss Moanaroa steps in. Called strike 1. Moanaroa 1 for 2 today. He has the single that brought home both Canberra runners. That's low ball 1.
The wind has picked up here in the last 2 innings. Now blowing right across the diamond from right to left.
Moanaroa. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Just noting that the shift that you normally see against Boss, he takes one high, the shift that you normally see against Boss Moanaroa not really as employed here. The second baseman is across still. That's Kemp, but Ngope still very much on the shortstop side of the bag.
Moanaroa hits it straight to Dwayne Kemp, has a bit of a bobble. He sends it to Jacob Eunice at first base. So for the 4-3, as Chris Coleman just said, second base being 4, first base being 3.
And we're talking about the shift, and well, I suppose it doesn't matter if you don't move Ngope, the shortstop, across, because you've got Kemp who's moved a little bit across to his left, to Boss Moanaroa's right, and was almost in the perfect place for where Moanaroa grounded that ball to. 1 down for Canberra. In the bottom of the 6th, they still lead by 2.
The captain, Robbie Perkins, steps in. And that's a beautiful curve for strike one from Tyler Herr. Beats him with it again, but this time Perkins tries to get a piece as he swings the lumber and misses. 0-2. That's inside. Ball one. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The count on Robbie Perkins. 1 out here. Bottom of the 6th. This is high for ball 2. This is low. So quickly again, after being in the 0-2 hole as we call it, with no balls and 2 strikes, Perkins has got it to a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Payoff pitch. Hits it along the ground towards Ngope, who backs up, bobbles, still fires over to Hughes to get the out.
Gee, that's class.
It really is. The fact that he was going back on the ball and bobbled it in the glove, in the transition between glove and hand, and still had time to throw Perkins out by a good 10 feet. That is premier shortstopping at its best, Chris Coleman.
You don't make it to Major League Baseball as a shortstop or as a second baseman without considerable fielding ability, and that's what Ngope did in the past 12 months.
Strike 1 along the outside to Kyle Perkins.
Tyler Herr will be really looking for a quick end to this one and hoping that he gets to go out and pitch the 7th.
And Perkins singles just the centre fielder Hao Wei Shen.
That's the 8th hit for the Cavalry this afternoon. Says a lot about those double plays that you've mentioned a couple of times, Warwick, that Canberra have only been able to turn those 8 hits into 2 runs.
And then on the last inning, leaving 3 runners on. I'm just looking through my book. Michael Francoso, he hits another go. So up to 470 inside. Keith Ward over at third, sending the signal to Kyle Perkins, the runner at first. That's a called strike 1. Francoso, 1-1, and that's high, ball 2. Francoso, here's the call from home plate umpire Riley Barrington. Looks up. Yeah. Kyle Perkins, he's leading away from first. The count is 2-2. 2 out here in the bottom of the 6th. As Herr steps off the rubber. Two balls, 2 strikes. Francoso swings through. Ball gets behind Murphy as the runners advance.
You don't see too many players get on base from a third strike.
But Kyle Perkins with the awareness, he was, as Canberra has done most of the day with the runners at first, Perkins had broken anyway. He was heading for second, and then with the ball getting past Murphy, he had enough steam to get all the way to third. So with 2 out And he missed opportunity. He puts runners at first and third as Cam Warner steps in. Warner, he's 1 for 2 with a sacrifice bun as well, for good measure. That's ball one high. Now, just for those playing the averages at home, that does not count for Franco. So that is an out, but he reaches on. I'm just waiting. I couldn't tell from the angle that we had whether it was a wild pitch or a pass ball. As Warner has popped this one up. Eunice on the first base side in foul territory makes the catch, retires the side. So at the bottom of 6, it is still 2-0 in favour of the Canberra Cavalry.
Should give a mention, of course, to our streaming partners, Fielder's Choice, as well. If you need to get hold of any baseball gear, I can tell you Fielder's Choice, great people to deal with. Doesn't matter what level you play at, because they provide a national service to everyone who loves t-ball, softball or baseball. They give you expert advice, great customer service. They can do it in-store, they can do it online. They have stores located all over the place, so find one near you or get them online at www.fielders.net.
Pitching change for the Cavalry. Chris is punching it up for me. Is it Takami?
Actually need to get the binoculars up and have a good look here. Tomoya Mikami, one of the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars, who has been a part of the Canberra Cavalry system for this season. We'll give you some more details about him in a moment, but I can give you some numbers for Frank Gailey here, who's now being relieved after 6 innings pitched. He's given up just 3 hits and absolutely no runs. Three walks from Gailey today, 7 strikeouts, just past the 100 counts. 103 pitches, 63 of those for strikes. It was 5 groundouts and 3 flyouts. There's Tomoya Mikami, one of a quartet of Japanese players from the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars, with the increasing overseas involvement in the Australian Baseball League and especially the increasing Asian involvement in the Australian League. We see this season there's been 4 players come out. One of them has now gone home, Shota Eminaga, but in his 6-week stint putting up a case for potentially the best pitching performance, certainly the best 6-week pitching performance for this Australian League in 9 seasons. Also on the books for the Canberra Cavalry, though, there's Koki Aoyagi, who is an outfielder. We'll probably see him batting in the 2nd game today, and Yuki Kuniyoshi, who will probably come in as a relief pitcher in the 2nd game this afternoon. But Tomoya Mikami, and with plenty of experience in big league games, and along with his Japanese colleagues, very much enjoying his time here in the Australian Baseball League in 2018-19. Now, we'll see if there are any changes here for Sydney as they try and boost their batting power in this 7th inning as they look to overhaul the 2-run deficit. Murphy is in the batter's box now. Shepherd certainly on deck. I can't see who's in the hole just yet, but it does appear to be Alex Howe, so no change to the Sox as we head into the 7th.
Mikami against Murphy. Right there for a called strike 1.
You'd like to have a man with a low ERA coming in to pitch in this situation, and that's what the Cavs have got. Tomoya Mikami with an ERA of just 1.86.
Right there again. Murphy switch is a switch hitter. So depending on the situation and the pitcher, he can bat from either side of the plate. For our NITV viewers.
Oh, he's sent that into the crowd and he's almost killed one of his own fans. That's gone straight into the Blue Sox section of the crowd, and it's gone so hard it's hit the bleachers and come back into the field of play. You don't see that too often.
Chris, not only has it come back into the field of play, it's gone all the way to the right field fence. That was moving. lucky McCarmy. That's low. Ball 1. Count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Right off the bleachers there. Where, as you said, a throng of Blue Sox fans are sitting on the first base side. 1 and 2. McCarmy delivers. Low again. Ball 2.
This is what Murphy does, and he's done this for years. He can extend an at-bat and just make it go for pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch. You get a reliever comes in, like McCarmy comes in, a guy's not expecting to throw a lot of pitches. In a situation like this, he can turn it into a really long at-bat. I remember numerous 8, 9, 10 pitch at-bats in Murphy's previous days here in the Australian Baseball League, and also in the Asia series. There was one there that went forever and a day before Murphy got on base back in that series. He's just so good at it.
2 and 2. McCarmy, as you just said, that's the patience to lay off that at 2 and 2, 3 and 2 full count.
Mere mortals would just drop the bat and have a go at that.
Well, to be fair, he doesn't have anything on his batting statistic today, Murphy, because he's had 2 walks, and the count is full. McCarmy, and that has just missed for ball 4. As Robbie Perkins turns to home plate umpire Riley Barrington and says,
"Couldn't have missed by much, sir."
I was going to say just outside by a millimetre. So McCarmy issues a lead-off walk here. So Shepherd, he's the man in. Howe is who I can see on deck. So we're still as per program. It's outside. Ball 1. Murphy at first. That's high. The count quickly is 2 and 0 to Shepherd. Blue Sox with 3 hits, but 4 walks as well. 2 and 0. There's McCarmy. It's gone straight past the swinging Shepherd for strike 1.
Just giving you some additional stats about McCarmy. Prior to today, he'd thrown 9.2 innings across 10 appearances. He'd given up 10 hits, but he'd also struck out 14. So walks, not so many. He'd only walked 2 prior to today. So Murphy just his 3rd walk for the season.
Shepherd swings through again. Breaking pitch. Evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the 7th here at MIT Ballpark. The Cavalry leading the Blue Sox 2 runs to 0. None out. Jack Murphy, he's the man at first for the Blue Sox. McCarmy delivers as Shepherd swings through for strike 3. And that is 1 out. So just for our viewers at NITV, if Canberra gets Sydney out for less than 2 runs, then it will be game over, as Canberra will not be required to bat again. We don't bat in the bottom of the last inning if we don't need to. As Alex Howe, he steps in. Howe, well, he had the single to Francoso in his last at bat in the 5th. McCarmy. Called strike. And that's what you want as a reliever coming into this game. He gave up the lead-off walk, got himself out of the 2-0 hole with Shepherd to strike him out. And now, first pitch strike. You want to be in front and counts. And that's even better as Howe fouls one off. So the count quickly 0-2 to Alex Howe. And look who it is in the on-deck circle, Chris Coleman. He will look most likely, unless there is a double play, Jason Rogers will be coming into this game as Howe steps in. Called strike 3 on Alex Howe. Beautiful high breaking pitch to Howe. And that is 2 down in the top of the 7th. And here he is. Tony Harris alluded to us that he may get an at-bat in this first game if needed. Well, it is needed. 30-year-old Jason Rogers arrived yesterday, Chris Coleman.
Yeah, flew in from the USA. MLB debut in 2014 for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's been playing in NPB in Japan as well for the Hanshin Tigers. MLB statistics of a 258 batting average, NPB statistics of a 252 batting average. His player profile lists 4 clubs: Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Hanshin and the Sydney Blue Sox. And this is his first appearance for the Sydney Blue Sox. And you can see, just by looking at him, here is a man for whom power will not be a problem if he can get hold of one.
Not at all, as he takes a called strike 1.
.30 years old from East Point, Georgia. Drafted by the Brewers in the 32nd round of the Major League Baseball draft in 2010.
Wearing the 99. 1 strike. That was a low pitch at the knees. Rogers fouls that off. 0-2. This is what you want, Chris Coleman. Top of the 7th. Game-tying run at the plate. Former major leaguer, McCarmy, after issuing the lead-off walk to Murphy, has come back quite well against Shepherd and Howe. 0-2, here we go. Rogers underneath that. Mo and Aroa coming around. He's camped underneath it. He will take the catch. Retires the side. That ends game 1 of this doubleheader. The Canberra Cavalry winning 2-0 against the Sydney Blue Sox. Game 4, well, that has a 4 p.m. first pitch start, Chris Coleman. That will be 9 innings. So, the Canberra Cavalry take the 3rd game in a row for this series. Keeps them in touch with the Blue Sox and the rest of the teams in the seedings for the ABL playoffs, which start in a couple of weeks' time. But of course, heading into a big series next weekend against Brisbane. 3-0.
And with that win, Canberra go to 18-13 on the season. They are closing the gap on Sydney. Sydney now fall to 20-11. Having said that, Sydney still with the best record in the Australian Baseball League. The win will go to Frank Gailey. And no real surprise with Frank Gailey being named as the player of the match from the Canberra Cavalry. On the batting side of things, as mentioned, the Canberra side running up 8 hits during the course of the afternoon. Francoso 2 from 4, continuing his amazing run in the Australian Baseball League. His average now sits at 463. It was 2 for 3 from Michael Krause. His average, albeit off a smaller sample size, sits at 583. They were the multi-hit players for the Canberra Cavalry. For Sydney, it was a hit apiece to Dwayne Kemp, Alex Howe and Michael Campbell. The win will go to Frank Gailey, and that is Frank Gailey's 4th win for the season. 4 wins and 1 loss, and an amazing performance from him yet again. 7 strikeouts during his 6 innings pitched this afternoon. We thank you for your company, Warwick Petherbridge. Great job this afternoon on the play-by-play. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris.
On behalf of everyone at the Canberra Cavalry, the Sydney Blue Sox, and the Australian Baseball League, this is Chris Coleman signing off from Game 3 in this series. Game 4, well, it's not too far away. We'll join you again soon.